Kristen, the cross stitching runner, and welcome to my channel. I want to say a big hello and welcome to all new and returning subscribers. And if by chance you've stumbled across this channel is all about cross stitch with a little bit of life stuff thrown in. So this particular episode is going to be all about the projects that I've been working on over the last couple of weeks, and I'll be talking about some of the plans that I have that are due to start in the next couple of weeks. And a lot of that is due to it being the AFL Footy Challenge, Stitching Challenge that I did last year, and I'm going to be doing again. So I'm just going to be going through some of the projects that I want to focus on during that time and what it means to do that challenge if you've not heard me talk about it before. So let's get into it. The first project that I've spent a little bit of time on is a free chart that's available on the Hot Cross Stitching website, and it's called I Count My Lucky Stars. And this is, I guess, what the chart will look like when it's done. And the aim behind this particular chart is it's designed, I guess, if you want to stitch it monochrome, you can use the DMC 310, but the idea is that you can use whatever colors you want. And this is where I'm using the I think it's the Karen, it's Watercolors series by Karen with a C. And this particular thread that I'm using is called Tequila Sunrise, and this is where I'm at the moment, and I've just made a start on the letter M for Mary, and that, yeah, these words are really coming well nicely. And in my last episode, I had talked about the possibility of using a blue variegated thread that I had purchased, or I could have purchased. It was a mixed bag in the sense that a voucher that I'd received last year for a birthday present. I used a bit of it and some extra money for myself for the thread, but I think it could, the blues in it could go really well with these Tequila Sunrise colours. So if you want to hear me ramble on just a little bit more about my thoughts and what I might do, check out my previous episode and it'll be all good. And with that in mind, I finally have the cover page with me for a dictionary of dogs. So before I go on, I am stitching I Count My Lucky Stars on 1/1 on 25 count fabric, or perhaps 28. Either way, it's a linen and it's turning out beautifully. It really is. I just realised that I will try to make an effort to say what fabrics I'm stitching things on if I can. If it doesn't really matter, that's okay. If you're not really worried what fabric I'm stitching on, that's by the by. I'm getting distracted and sidetracked. So the next project that I am working on is called a Dictionary of Dogs, and this is the cover page. And it's a Bothy Threads kit that I've had in my collection for a really long time, and I am slowly working through the little motifs in it. I have finished stitching Dogma. I've not done the outline for it just yet. I figure I'll finish stitching the other motifs in the chart before I go back and do the back stitch, because it just makes my life a little bit easier when I'm trying to iron out some of the motifs and such, because they do have French knots in them. And I know that on the dog's muzzle here, where we see some of the dots there, they're going to be French knots. So I've been doing some work on dodgem cards, and it's coming along nicely. I think it's doing really well. So I'm using all of the called for threads and such that came with the kit, and it's being stitched on 14 count Aida, which is what came with the kit as well. And it's a really stiff Aida, which is why I'm trying to make a point of ironing this out before I show you, because otherwise it's going to look really warped and you won't quite get I guess you get the gist, but I just think it looks just a bit neater when I can make the effort to iron it out. So that's how it's coming along quite nicely. So with a lot of the way I do my floss tubes, counting for starters has never been a strong suit of mine, which you might also notice why the naming of my Flosstube episodes are really out of whack. So yeah, me, numbers, counting, good thing I'm not an accountant. The next project I have to share with you is a project that I've put down for maybe 2.5 months because it featured heavily, like super heavily, in my Flosstube episodes last year, and it was a strong feature because I was doing the stitching challenge of 22,000 stitches for the year 2022, and I reached my goal of getting the 22,000 stitches in, and I still have a bit to go, but it's coming up really well. This is Dewdrop Daisy. Sorry, hopefully camera flare fair. So again, this one's by Hot Cross Stitching. It's based on a photo that I took, and it is coming up really nicely. I'm using all DMC threads, and it's been stitched on 28 count linen, and I'm stitching it 2 DMC threads over 2 fabric squares, and this is where I'm at so far. And yeah, I just really needed a break from it because I've been working on it so heavily, and I'm doing it all full cross, and it's going to look really good when it's done. I'm looking forward to seeing this done. I'm not making any promises to say when I'll finish it because I've got a lot of projects happening, but it felt really nice to pick this one up again, and I'll probably only put maybe a couple of hundred stitches in it yesterday. So yesterday was the first day for the year 2023 that I've picked this project up, and I think in total this project has got like 60,000 stitches in it, smidgen over. But I think it's a nice, comfortable, 60,522 stitches in total it has, and I've put 40,407 into it. So yeah, I could probably still try and do the whole 22,000 or 23 and 23. I would well and truly have done if I did that, but I've learned my lesson to not do that. It's all good. The next project that I have to share with you is called, I'm looking at Fight Like a Girl. So Fight Like a Girl, I stitch on it mostly on Fridays, and it is a project that is going to look good when it's done. And a friend of mine reached out to me via Facebook Messenger to help me resolve an issue that I think both of us are potentially kicking ourselves a bit for not thinking of it sooner because of the way Pattern Keeper works, and that I've talked already about blended threads and variegated threads, but I'll get to that really soon. So this is what the project will look like when it's done. So it's designed by Tanya Amity, and It's based on an illustration by Elena Zhnetkova, and the thing that I've probably been complaining about or grumbling about for too long, probably by the sounds of it, is knowing whether it's I'm working on half stitch or full cross, because it's got that combination in there. And so the suggestion is that through Pattern Keeper. So I'm recording this in the afternoon. I am tired because I had a hamburger, and carbs, generally speaking, make me tired in the afternoon, and I had chips as well. So my brain doesn't think very well. That said, it's only nearly 2 o'clock, and I shouldn't have the brain fog or brain fumbleness that I do. So that's by the by. With this particular project, based on the awesome, fantastic recommendation that I got from Tess, she had suggested that I can update the threads for the ones that are meant to be half stitched to somehow list it twice, or somehow do something with that. And it's worked. It's all good. I just now need to remember what my plan of thinking is for the threads that are meant to be half stitched. So again, thank you very much, Tess, for that recommendation and suggestion. It's going to work out well. It's going to be good. Okay, so the next project I have to share with you is a new start. And I want to shout out Rebecca, who has been absolutely amazing with her support, where she's been a regular commenter for my Flosstube episodes for quite a while now. So I just want to say thank you very much, Rebecca, for your regular comments on my Flosstube episodes. I look forward to them every time I post up something new. So thank you very much for the birthday wishes as well. Thank you. So the reason why I'm saying all of this is last episode I had pondered which project I could start as part of the new moon, new start thing that's a little bit happening in our cross stitch world. I've seen with Coffee Stitcher, for example, he in the past has done new moon, new starts, and so that's where I thought, no, I think I could jump on the bandwagon a little bit for this. So Rebecca, you'll be happy to know that I have definitely started the chart, whose name escapes me right now, but if you're watching this, Rebecca, you'll know which one I'm referring to, because it was one that I was very much leaning towards doing. And Inner Works of Life by Heaven and Earth Designs, that's the name of the chart that I was thinking of. So this is Inner Works, and this particular chart, I'll see if I can zoom in. The artwork is by Stephanie Law, and there is like a subtle difference with this particular artwork compared with a journal that I use for certain aspects of my life. But this particular chart I fell in love with because it just reminds me of the journal that I use, because it's based on the same artwork. The only difference between this chart and the cover of the journal that I use is that the journal doesn't have the girl swinging from the tree on a swing. So with the progress that I've made on this particular chart, I have done, I think perhaps, what is it? I have stitched 629 stitches for this project, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't look like much. I am stitching this with all of the called for colours, and I've started in the middle because just for something different. So this is where I'm at right now, and it really doesn't look like much. There's probably about 3 to 4 different colours just in that particular splotch. And to help put into context, because I have started in the middle, let's see, where are we? So where I'm stitching in the middle of the chart is, sorry, camera glare, is I guess some of the branches. And I'm looking up at the moment, so I've got the screen that I can see for this recording just above the camera, so my apologies. So I'm stitching where some of the branches are that the swing is hanging from, that the girl is swinging on. So that's roughly where I'm stitching. So that's why there are just so many pale colours, and it just looks like a faint blob, and we can't really tell much of what's going on there. So I've definitely made a start on that. How often I'll stitch on it, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm glad that I've made the start. So thank you again so much, Rebecca, for your support on that one, and all the rest that goes with it. Thank you. So the next project that have put a lot of time into over the last couple of weeks is a project called Water Tiger 2. And this one is by Custom Crafts. The artwork is by J.W. Baker, and it's been designed by Diane Allaire. And I am currently on the bottom page. One of the bottom pages, I think it's over this side here. This is where I'm working on at the moment. So there's pretty much 3 pages that go across here. So I'm working on, I guess, the last third. No, not last third. The first page of 3 that will soon be finished. Something along those lines, anyway. So that's gonna fall. This is where I'm at, and I'm not. This is pretty much as how wide the page will be, and I've probably got a few more. Probably about a couple of hundred stitches before I hit the bottom, so there'll be heaps to go. Well, heaps of fabric left, that's what I'm trying to say, but it's actually going to be a surprisingly small picture, especially with comparison to the other projects that I'm working on. Like, this still has got thousands and thousands of stitches in it, but it's just compact. It's good. I can't remember exactly what fabric this is. I think I've mentioned in other episodes where I think this is like 18 count, absolutely. And it could be even weave, I'm thinking on this, because or if it's linen, it's beautiful linen. And the reason why I'm saying all that is with some linens, they get a bit lumpy. That's the best way I can put it. They get a bit lumpy. And a bit uneven with how the actual fabric is sorted out. So that one's working out pretty good. I'm using DMC threads, 2 threads over 1 fabric square, and it's turning out pretty good. The next project that I have to share, I don't remember if I've actually gotten any work done on this one. If I have, it's only been like maybe just a couple of hours, if that. And it's another Heaven and Earth design chart, and it's called His Master's Voice Mini. And let's see. Okay, so this is what the project will look like when it's done, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. Let's see. This is where I'm at so far, and I've started on, I guess, the grey areas of the cat's paw. And I started this with doing 1/1 using the thread DMC threads, and I found that I wasn't really happy with the coverage that I was getting with some of the threads. So that's where I started doing 2/1, and I'm really happy with how that coverage is going, and hopefully I can incorporate this in, in some future challenges that are coming up. While I'm talking about heaven and earth designs, the next project, it's an old one, but it's one that I've been working on for a while, and you'll actually see some change. This one, you'll actually notice the difference for once. So this is called Moonlit Waters Max Colors, and the artwork is by Julie Fain. And this is what it'll look like when it's done. And I'm stitching it, I think, 1/1 on 25 or 28 count fabric. And finally, some changes that you can actually see. So I've done a lot of work just stitching a lot more of the wings of the fairy, and that's part of, I don't know what it's part of. I lost my train of thought with that one. So initially was using a bit of the 310 to stitch with the wings, and I think I was just being a little bit lazy. I couldn't be bothered to get up off the couch to go and grab the skein of 310 from one of the boxes. I think got 4 tackle boxes. And tackle boxes, I mean like literally the fishing boxes, tackle boxes that people who enjoy fishing use. I've got 4 of them to actually store a lot of my threads in for many of the projects that I'm working on. So my point of saying all that is the wings that I've been working on for this. I actually ended up grabbing just some of the black thread off the I guess the special cards for the the Bothy Threads kit. It's got a lot of black in it to help with the back stitching and that kind of thing. I thought, yeah, that's black. Black's black. And yeah, it's turned out really well for the wings so far. So I think, in my opinion, as far as the black is concerned, it's not going to matter too much for me to swap between the DMC 310 and whatever the black is from the Bothy Threads kit. I know normally it's a huge no-no to be swapping brands of colours with the cross stitch that we do because of the variation in the dyes and I guess the quality of the cotton as well that we stitch. So anyway, it's by the by. I don't remember. I know this. I think I stitched on it at least this week and last week. Spent a couple of hours both times. So I don't really know how many stitches exactly, but it's enough to see that progress, which is absolutely awesome. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the cross stitch that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. And yesterday I had my sewing bug kick in again because I wanted to get a couple more project bags sorted out because I'd already cut up the fabric, but I just needed to knuckle down and sew it up. So that's what I was doing for most of yesterday. So these are the 2 bags that I made. This is the back. So the fabric, both lots of fabric are from Spotlight, and the zippers are from Spotlight as well. And yeah, hey, I'm happy with it. It's not perfect. Neither of them are really perfect. And I think that's half the beauty of crafting, where I know that with quilting, for example, the element of perfection is needed because of what quilting is. But in terms of these particular project bags, I just wanted to get them done. So that's that. It's all good. I'll be using at least one of those project bags for storing the dewdrop daisy in, and I'll probably also use it for my splotch of colour called, which is officially called the, what is it, Pink Bottle Brush Mini. So that's that. Okay, I'm going to pause here and get myself organised for what my plans will be for the next round of stitching. Hey everyone, welcome back. So this particular section of my Flosstube episode is all about the AFL Footy Stitching Challenge that I'm going to be starting up in potentially a little under 2 weeks, because the AFL football season for Australia is starting around Thursday the 16th of March, and with this particular challenge, I am going to try and be motivated and work on many projects that I need or want to apply more attention to. And to help put into perspective, on the Hot Cross Stitching website, I've put together a document on this particular challenge and all the details that are around it. So if by chance I don't make a lot of sense with what I'm saying right now, and I'll try to be concise as well without too many ums and ahs and everything in between, check out the challenge page of the Hot Cross Stitching website, and you can download it, have a read, do whatever you want with it. It's all good. So, brief summary of what I'm aiming to do for this year is, rather than assigning a project to each team based upon their team colours or their logos or mascots or anything in between, I'm going to wait and see how it works, because for me the first couple of weeks are a little bit of a, I guess, teething season or teething game, so to speak, of just figuring out what actually works and what sticks for me. So with this particular section of the Flosstube episode, I'll be sharing with you the projects that I'm going to be working on. Some of them I did work on for last year, and I'll still be working on those projects connected to those teams as well. But for me this year, this is where my goals are a little bit different to what last year's was like. What will be remaining the same is what timings and prompts that I use to actually stitch on these projects. So what worked really well for me last year was using the final scores of each game that was played to then determine which project I worked on and how many stitches I put into that project. So, for example, we might have Team A versus Team B. Team A wins and their final score is 115 points. So that means that I would put 115 stitches into the project I have assigned to Team A. And I found that took a lot of pressure and time off me, to put the stitches in that I needed for each project, rather than worrying about putting stitches in for the winning and losing teams. That got just a bit too much. So also, if you're not interested in counting stitches, you may also notice in the document I've put up on my website is that there is some options or alternatives for stitching based on time, if you find that to be a lot easier. And the document describes how you can do the timing for each project, and how you might want to tackle it. Okay, so with that in mind, the first project that I want to actually get a bit more stitching done and hopefully finish is the Black Needle Society Autumn in Stars Hollow. And initially, cool, it's coming up. So initially, it'd be like, okay, what does Gilmore Girls have to do with football? If you're not a Gilmore Girls fan, I can totally get that. we do have a football in as one of the motifs that's in this particular project. And the type of football, like American football gridiron, is completely different to AFL. The closest gridiron can get to any kind of Australian football is the National Rugby League. But even then, there are so many differences that I won't get into. Anyway, football. So I started this project a few years ago, and it was part of a stitching retreat, digital stitching retreat that I did, and I have been dragging my feet for way too long. As you can see, I've gotten a fair bit done already, and I'm being awkward, sorry. So this is a comparison of what I've done compared with what I need to get done, and I'm stitching this on most of the called for threads. I'm stitching it 2/2, so two threads over 2 fabric squares, and for some of the colors that I don't have, I am substituting in other colors that look close enough based upon the cover picture. And so the fabric that I'm stitching this on is linen that came with the Autumn and Stars Hollow Stitchy box, and it's a hand dyed 28 count cachet linen. It's a fat eighth piece by Fibre on a Whim, and it's called Presenting Lorelei Gilmore. So yeah, I have a bit of fun trying to pronounce that. It's good. So I'm not quite sure which team will be connected to that project just yet. I'll need to give it a little bit more thought. It might even end up being just actually. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud a little bit here as I'm planning and talking with you about this as well. Based on the colours that we do see in here, because I know initially I said, look, hey, I'm not going to base some of these projects on colours and all the rest. Based on the colours that I do see here, I think it could actually fit with some of the teams that I'm thinking of. So there's a team, actually no, not quite. So I'm thinking out loud and picturing things in my head while I'm talking about this. So what I'm initially thinking is that there's a team called the Hawthorn Hawks. Based on their team colours, I might be able to get away with it. There's also a lot of blue in here. So there's a team called the Carlton Blues. And last year I struggled a lot to figure out what project to work on. And I said, okay, because I'm stitching it on blue fabric, that's why I'm stitching a particular project for that team. Carlton Blues didn't do very well, that I remember. So it wasn't too much of a loss. So that this could potentially be a couple of teams connected to this one. So depending on how they go within the football league, football season, it'll depend on how much I end up sharing with you on that one. And that's, I think, going to be half the fun with the next few months with Flosstube, where, yes, I will be talking a lot about the football, and if you're not into football, then it gets really boring. But at least there's going to be a variety of stitching that I'll get to share with you, and that is something that I feel excited about. So we'll go down those lines. Okay, the next project I have to share with you is Midnight Glow. It is a custom crafts pattern, and this is a particular project. Oh, sorry, Blair. It's a project that I have been working off and on for a really long time. I think briefly last year I did touch it, but it wasn't anything substantial. I do remember noting that I think as part of my plans for it, figured out that I just need to do 10,000, fraction over 10,000 stitches to get it completed. We'll wait and see. So this is where I'm at. it is a beautiful project. I'm stitching this on 14 count Ada. I don't know what the name of the color of the fabric is because I've had it in my stash for so long, and I'm not quite sure just yet which team I'll attribute this to, because in the AFL we don't have any teams that are associated with horses or broncos or mustangs or any of those types of horses. So I'll have to wait and see. Again, we do have a few teams that have the colour blue in their team colours, so I might stretch it a bit in that sense and say, yes, okay, this one's got blue in it, so therefore I'm connecting it to that particular team. So wait and see. I am using DMC threads for that project as well, so should be easy enough. The next project I know is going to be connected to a specific team because we do have a team called the Geelong Cats. So this project I had, and my apologies for crinkles, this particular project featured quite a lot in last year's stitching challenge because the team did really well. Sorry for glare. Okay, so this one's called Barnyard Kittens. It's a Dimensions kit that's been in my collection for a while. And I had initially started it back, I think, in 2019, maybe 2020. Well, I know I focused a bit in 2020 for Stitch Mania in May. Oh, that was a stressful time. Anyway, I've got a lot done based on the AFL Footy Challenge. So I haven't touched it since last year, and this is where I'm at so far. And it's being stitched on 14 count black Ada that came in the kit. I'm using all of the colours that are coming with the kit as well. And it's a stiff fabric, but it's a really nice one to stitch. And I guess the good thing and the bad thing is that it is a physical chart that I'm using for this project, which can make life a little bit easier with counting, but not always. The other thing as well is that just to make my life easier, with my counting, I am not differentiating between half stitch and full cross. I'm just putting stitches in because life happens, and I know that for other stitching challenges, when we're at retreats and that kind of thing, the organisers do specify that if you're doing 10 stitch, then you need to stitch double the amount of full cross stitches that others may choose to do. So just for the benefit of my own sake, I am choosing to not differentiate between full cross and half cross when I'm stitching. I just want to get the stitches in and get it done. Especially when I've got about 8 projects that I have to work on or need to work on for that particular week. And especially if all the majority of the games are high scoring games, it'll make sense if you choose to do the challenge as well. So that's me just having a little bit of a grumble and acknowledging that I'll sort me out, you sort you out, and if you want to differentiate between full cross and half cross with your counting, all good. Okay, so that's that. My apologies again in advance for crinkles. Oh, cool. So the next project that I have to share that I want to work on, I've not attributed it to any specific team, though with what I'm looking at right now, I'm sure I could pull strings either way for how it could work. Okay, so this one is called Zebras. It's by Design Works, and I hope it doesn't play too badly. Okay, so this one I love because of its rainbow colours. I love it. And I think the timing of me talking about this is pretty cool because of it being Pride Week around the world, but especially I know here in Australia, or Pride Month even. Or was it? I am sorry. I am very sorry for not really being up with that. I should be paying more attention because I have no qualms with the LGBTQI community. I love you guys. So I just wanted to just quickly acknowledge that. So that's it. This is where I'm at, and my part of my reason for talking about Pride Week, Pride Month, and acknowledging the LGBTQI community is because we've got the rainbow colours happening for this project. And last year, when I was doing my AFL footy stitching challenge, I did very briefly bring this one out to do like a little bit of stitching done for the actual week during the AFL footy season because in AFL definitely, and I think NRL are slowly getting on board with it as well. In AFL at least, they do a Pride Week where they are finally recognizing the people who identify in that community and very much part of the LGBTQI community, and that they've been part of the AFL community for donkey's years, for a long time. And finally, the community, the LGBTQI community, are getting the recognition they well and truly deserve because we've got players, we've got support crew, we've got everyone behind the scenes, the supporters, and everyone who loves watching footy, who plays the footy, and all the rest. And with that in mind, that's where the teams they've got special pride jerseys that they wear. There's something they change the socks and all the rest. I know it's not a lot for what the community needs, but it is just the fact that the commentators talk about it and all the rest. That I think is absolutely fantastic. It is awesome. Anyway, I know I could rabbit on quite a lot about it, so thank you for your patience on that one. Do check out D's 20 stitches. They are amazing. I love watching D's channel, and I love that. Oh, Kitty peed my elbow. I'm sorry. And I love that D is helping to educate us on the community they are part of. So thank you. So, okay, with that in mind, we'll talk a bit more about stitching. The next project, I don't have special cover page or cover book or anything for this one. I only have a paper copy of the chart, and I can't share the chart with you on copyright, that kind of thing. So this next project is called 12 Days of Christmas. This one got a huge amount of attention in last year's footy challenge, and that was because I had 3 teams connected to this project. 2 of the teams who are connected to this project did very well in the football season last year. One of the teams that did well, and I support the Swans, they made it to the grand final. They played horribly, but they made it to the grand final. So with 12 Days of Christmas, I'm still going to connect this one to the Sydney Swans because we've got swans in the picture. This one is also a Christmas themed project, so that's connected to a team called the St Kilda Saints. Also, their team colours in terms of the Saints are black, white, and red. Additionally, the Sydney Swans, their team colours are red and white. So yeah, we can already see why this particular project is going to be used for those teams. And the third team that I had connected to this one who played horribly is the West Coast Eagles. I didn't have any full-blown bird dedicated themed projects happening at the time. So got birds in here. So hey, the bird, it's all good. So again, I haven't worked on this particular project since last year when the football season ended, which was September. Yeah. But this is being stitched on 28 count even weave, using DMC threads, all the called for colors. Depending on how the teams go this year, you may hear me complaining a lot about fractional stitches. So they're worth it in the end. I just hate stitching them. So my apologies in advance for complaining a lot about them. Hopefully this one might actually get finished. This one ought to get this really closely finished to it. If you want to see how my progress has been on this particular project, check out a lot of my episodes from last year. You'll see me talking a lot about it and potentially complaining quite a lot as well. So again, apologies for that one. Okay, next project. So at the start of this episode, I did talk a bit about, or not a bit, a little bit about my project called The Splat of Colour, also known as Pink Bottle Brush Mini. So I'll just bring up what the project is meant to look like when it's done. And it is less than 10,000 stitches. So in theory, it should be an easy stitch. Not as easy as I'd like it to be, but that is all part of the fun games that we have. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. I'll zoom in. So this particular picture I'm sharing with you is a mock-up of what the project will look like when it's done. So that's why it's got that weird look about it. Okay, my apologies for camera glare. Hopefully you get the idea. So I'm stitching this on 14 count Aida. I know that I had charted it with the suggestion of 40 count even weave. That's a lot to do with the design to get it to look the way that I want it rather than any other way around. Okay, so this is where I'm at so far. And this particular project, I'll most likely connect to a team that has black in its, in its team colours. Or it could be one, just a random one going, yeah, okay, that team will do. I haven't worked, on this project for a while. So wait and see. So I'm slowly working my way down here, and I don't know. I think all of it, a lot of the stitches do say, "Oh yeah, it won't take too long. Well, if I do this, this, and this, it'll be done." We have great faith in how long it'll take us to get certain things done, and then it ends up being a bit more time consuming than we anticipated. Anyway, we'll wait and see. The next project, I know which team exactly will be connected to this one because I worked on this project last year as well. So this one is the black and white rolled up daisy. And I know that I've talked a bit about wanting to get a bit more of it done. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so again, this is another hot cross stitching design. And this particular project is connected to the magpies, which Collingwood magpies. Okay, so this is where I am at so far. And at the moment, this is being stitched on 18 count black Aida. The background I've started stitching 10 stitch, and I guess the actual flower is going to be full cross. So depending, again, we'll wait and see. So that's that project. Okay, the next one that I actually want to see some progress on. I don't know which team is going to be connected to this one just yet, and I've also not been keeping count of how many projects I've got going on right now. We'll wait and see. Okay, the mini mushrooms. Okay, this one I have been working on for what feels like ages. I can't remember if I started this back in 2018 or 2019. Similar to Dewdrop Daisy. Yeah, Dewdrop Daisy. I went really hard on this project where it was like my focus piece for most of a year, and this is about half of the project so far. I still have this other half to go. So with this year, at least with the footy challenge, depending on how the teams go, I hope to at least get the bottom of the project done. Wait and see. But this project, because of the browns in it, could be connected to the Hawthorn Hawks. I don't know. I keep talking about them because I've got hopes of them doing really well this year. And I've also just remembered that there was another project I was going to work on as well, that's very much connected to a team called Port Adelaide Power, and it was their team colours that is reminding me. So I guess in a couple of weeks' time, maybe a touch longer, you may see it depending on how teams go. Okay, so this next project that I know I want to get some work done on, and I kind of connected it to them last year, is the Amy Stewart, one of her bookshelves things. Where are we? Here we are. A mini stitch in time, and this is the one where it's got different seasons in it. So this particular one, I'm thinking of a team called the GWS Giants, because of their team colours. And this, where are we? This is where I'm at so far. And every time I put this down for ages, and I then forget how much I actually enjoy stitching on it, because of the different colours that are in it and just how pretty it is. I think it could be cool. Okay, so the next project that I've been very lax on, and I want to get some more stitching done on it, is another one of my own designs, and it is the Blue Mountains walking trail project that's going to take me forever to get done. And where are we? This is what it'll roughly look like. So I'm working up where you see a lot of those limbs of a fern or something like that. It's at the top of the project or picture. And I'm stitching it 1/1 using DMC threads, using the easy grid fabric. And yep, this is where I'm at so far. And this fabric is going to make life a lot easier for counting stitches and all the rest. Not 100% certain which team is going to be connected to this one. It may be a case where I'm in the groove for stitching on the project, so I'll just stitch it for whatever team. I will need to eventually focus and figure out which team is going to be connected to with which projects, otherwise I'm just going to fall apart and things won't happen. Okay, we're getting near the end. The second last, third last, fourth last. We've still got a bit to go. The next few projects I have to share with you, we have looked at already. So this is where it will be quicker. Okay, a dictionary of dogs is going to be another project to work on because of the team that's got dogs in it, the Western Bulldogs. So that will be easy enough just to properly attribute that one to it. And I did actually work on this project, the Dictionary of Dogs, for Western Bulldogs last year. Dewdrop Daisy, because it's on purple fabric, it is being connected to the Fremantle Dockers. Fremantle Dockers have 10 colours of purple. They didn't do very well. Well, they did well-ish. Anyway. Next project is Fight Like a Girl. There were about three teams connected to this project. I think two of them were because of the colours, Carlton Blues and another team, Demons. They did really well, the Demons. Anyway, team colours all went well. So this is that particular project. Will probably still be connected to those teams. Sorry about that. I thought I had a little bit more time than I actually did. And I can't believe that took me like half an hour to get through those projects. So thank you. I have just one more project to share with you that I'm going to work on, and then we've got a smidgen of life stuff. So if you really have stayed with me for this long, thank you. You are absolutely amazing. Thank you. Okay, so Water Tiger. We do have a team called the Richmond Tigers in the Football League. So this one will definitely get some attention. And depending on how the league goes, it'll be all good. Okay, so that is well and truly it for stitching. So thank you for sticking around for as long as you have. Thank you. So with just a little bit of life stuff that's been going on, I just want to say a big thank you to Rebecca for your birthday wishes. Thank you. I had a fantastic day. So I had a birthday in the last week or weekend even of February, and my parents came up and visited us here in Wollongong, and it was a really good weekend. We were very lucky with the weather, and it was really good to be able to show my parents around. So I've got thread hanging around my microphone at the moment. So it was a fantastic weekend. The next few weeks, or the last couple of weeks of March, I'm going to be traveling for both weekends. I've got a friend celebrating her 50th on the 17th of March. So I'll be down in Canberra for that, coming back up on Sunday the 19th. The following weekend, I have a fun run on March the 26th, and that is going to be part of my lead up for all this running that I've been trying to do. I'm about 2 weeks behind on my training schedule for the run. It is just 5K, and I say just 5K as though it's no big deal. I know for people who don't run or don't enjoy running, 5K is a long distance. It feels like a long way to go as well if things aren't going according to plan. The thing that I'm really looking forward to with this particular run is that it's in Bateman's Bay, and to me, Bateman's Bay is my second, third, fourth home, whichever way you want to put it. I spent many a school holiday growing up down at Bateman's Bay, and a lot of my adult years to date have been spent at the Bateman's Bay area, so I know it very well, and I'm looking forward to the run. It's called Bay to Bridge, and there are going to be a variety of distances for that particular run, or that event, sorry. So I know that it'll be a pretty fast course, fast course, because about 90% of it is flat or flat-ish. It's going to be flat. That's what I can say. We do have a bridge that we need to run over. Elevation is a word that I was going on. So there is the elevation part of it, of just running over the bridge, but it's nothing much compared with some of the other types of runs that could be done. So that is going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. The other sort of planned things that are happening at the moment that will potentially have an impact on this channel are some, I guess, I'm still working on the, what's more called? Wording is going out of my brain. I need a coffee. The words that I'm trying to think of are, it'll come to me later. They really will come to me later. I can picture it in my head. I just can't form the words for it. But what I am working on, classes, teaching people to stitch. They're the words that I couldn't find my voice for. So I'm still working on those in the background. It's taking me a little bit longer than I anticipated to try and get sorted out, to figure out how it's going to work, what it looks like. I have done some little bits of recording for it. It's how it's then going to get presented in a way that is going to make sense for everyone. That is the challenge. However, with those things in mind in terms of stitching and teaching people how to stitch and all that kind of stuff, and seeing alternative ways on how to connect with people, I've got some recordings lined up that I want to do for the times when I am traveling and I just really don't feel like doing a regular Flosstube episode. Then these particular recordings are going to be pretty cool and pretty awesome. So I hope you enjoy them. When I do post them up, they will be a bit random at times, but it will make sense. With the way my brain works, I'll try and help you to see or hear, understand where my brain is coming from and my logic behind it all. That said, I have rambled on enough for today, and I hope you have enjoyed this particular catch up, and I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks' time. See ya.